look pretty today. I love you too. So, monk season. That's the title of my speech. So, this beautiful picture of yours truly was taken last summer during my intensive 2-week stay with Buddhist monks in the mountains of South Korea. Yeah, it sounds as random as to you as it did to me. Not that I have anything against monks or Buddhism or anything like that, but it threw me off because my parents nor my family is religious whatsoever. Let's back up a little before I get into my life living with monks. So, my parents deny it over and over every time. Whoopsie. You didn't see that. You didn't see it. Oh, I'm bugging out. So, my parents deny it over and over every time I bring it up, but I swear they sent me on this Buddhist retreat so I could have some type of moral awakening and start being a good kid. Or whatever their envisionment of a good kid was. I mean, I wasn't the worst possible kid that you could have, but my dad was the son of a principal of an all-boys school in Korea, and my mom grew up on a farm and her mother was sick all the time, so basically she never hung out with her friends because she had to help out with her mom around the farm. And to make it even worse, my brother was basically Albert Einstein, and he was like the golden child. Like, he liked to read for fun. Like, I don't know anyone else that likes to read for fun. But, like, who does that? Who reads for fun? So, my entire childhood was pretty much spent in the downstairs abyss of hell, shackled to a seat and desk that most people like to refer to as the New City Library. I would get there when the library opened and stay there till the library closed, just cramming away at workbook problems and whatever books I was having shoved down my throat. Looking back at it, I don't hate my parents for making me do that, but spending 6 to 7 hours sitting in the library every day can be straining to endure every day of your life, starting from elementary school to throughout high school. So, going to the library every day and just spending all my time there sort of left me stranded socially. I didn't really have that many friends. Like, I had your typical like school friends, kids that you would say to in the hall, maybe give them a nice wave in the hallway, but besides that, I didn't really have that many friends. And my sort of social life started like in between sophomore year because that's when I was done with most of my testing, my SATs, everything like that. So my parents started to give me a little bit of free time, and so these are some of the friends that I've gotten over the years. And I would like to first off thank them for coming. They made it a lot easier for me. And so I began to hang out with my friends and going out and going to parties, stuff like that. And until this point, like I said, I never really went out or had friends. So the second I got into it, I fell in love with it. But then my parents, a little bit of buzzkill, they had enough of it. They didn't want me being like this social butterfly. They wanted me back at the library. So that's how this whole retreat thing came about. So here comes day one of life for Nicholas as a Buddhist monk. I got a nice wake-up call at 4:30 a.m. from one of these monks standing over my bed. It's kind of creepy, to be honest, but it woke me up. And so then I went outside and I saw this guy right there standing next to this huge bell. And you can guess what happened next. He starts ringing this bell. It's 4:30 in the morning. I want no part of it. I'm trying to get crust out of my eye. And he keeps on ringing it. And you would think that he would ring it like maybe 1 or 2 times. This guy rang this bell for 30 minutes straight. So, after that, we got in a single file line. It was like elementary school all over again. And this was probably one of the worst things in my entire life. So, I don't know if a lot of you know, but I have like a little bit of back problem. And, I can't speak for this, but whatever. So, we had to sit basically crisscross applesauce. I mean, I'm sort of dumbing it down. It's called meditating, if some of you guys don't know. But basically, we're supposed to sit like this for 45 minutes straight, just trying to empty our minds, doing whatever you wanted. But I couldn't sit still. Like, I was constantly moving around, and eventually, I'm surprised I can sit here for this long, but eventually the monk was like, alright, you're distracting everybody else, you gotta get up. So while everyone else was sitting down meditating, I had to sit in a chair in the corner. It was kind of fun, but bad memories. So Um, oh, okay. So I was incapable of sitting for 2 minutes basically, and I was distracted, like always. So this was something new for me. Obviously the whole Buddhism thing was new for me. I was never religious. But I'm talking about like having order and discipline in my day. I was so used to doing whatever I wanted and whenever I wanted, but that was not the case here. Even if I wanted to be a little baby and not do the rituals, I had nowhere to run off to. If I hadn't already mentioned it enough, I was in the middle of the forest on some mountain in the middle of Korea, so I didn't really have anywhere to go hide. So there was a very specific moment during my trip that actually had a very profound effect on me. It was the final day of one of our stays at one of the monasteries we were visiting, and the head monk brought our entire group pizza. After we were done eating, everyone cleaned up their plates and then went to bed. However, I had left my bag in the building, so I went back to get it. As I approached the building, I could hear our group leader thanking the monk repeatedly for their generous offer. At first, I was a little confused why she was thanking him so much, when all he did was buy us pizza. Don't get me wrong, it was a very kind gesture, but it was just pizza, right? They heard me snooping and told me to come in and asked why I was still up. I told them I had overheard their conversation and apologized for listening in, but that I wanted to hear more. He asked me what I thought about all of the rituals. Oh, and by the way, there's a picture of me getting a massage because at first they tried to get me to meditate sitting down, but that didn't work out too well. So he asked me what I thought about all the rituals and rules we had to follow at the monastery and the other monasteries I had also visited. In total, I visited about 50 monasteries over the course of 2 weeks. And I flat out told him it sucked. We barely got any time to sleep, and everything sort of seemed pointless to me. He totally understood where I was coming from. He himself too liked to sleep, but he said I was looking at each individual ritual as its own individual activity and not as a whole. He said he understands how each of these things could seem pointless and boring to someone that had never had any Buddhist influence in their lives. All of these rituals were leading up to this state of mental freedom. He said that being free isn't being able to vote or bald eagles or Ronald Reagan or anything like that. It was the absence of restrictions and rules. It didn't mean the absence of restrictions and rules. It's a mental state of being able to make decisions without the influence of habitual patterns and thought processes. Some of these habitual patterns and thought processes that you're sort of trying to free yourself from by doing all these things are greed, desire, ill will, and ignorance. So freedom is also the embodiment of the 6 perfections, which are generosity, good conduct, vigor, patience, meditation, and wisdom. He stressed the importance of generosity, but he said everything sort of intertwined and sort of led up to generosity. And once you reach the ability to be generous in everything you do and have completely no other ties to the habitual patterns, then that's when you reach the state of mental freedom. So to make it still like sort of confused me. It was like someone was lecturing me. So he decided to dumb it down to the offer of the pizza. So firstly, good conduct was brought when deciding the gift to make sure the gift was pure. And pizza's pretty pure in my mind. So the next perfection shown was patience. He again confirmed my idea that monks do not get paid a heck of a lot, and that he couldn't just reach into his pocket and pull out his credit card to pay for the pizza for dinner for 30 people. He had to have patience to save up money and also have the pizza dinner at the right time. He waited until all of us were sort of getting annoyed and fed up with all the rituals, and so the gift could have the most impact on us. So I thought to myself, why didn't he tell us how much effort it actually took to save up for this pizza dinner? Because everyone, like when they get a gift for someone, honestly, like most people, they have like inner reasons for getting the gift. Maybe it's to get happiness, or what do you call it? To get you get something in return, like whether it's them being happy or just getting that idea that you thought about them, and so you want to feel thought of. So, however, so then he started to say that he's starting a spiritual path. Meditation helped him a lot with greed. And it's not just greed with money, it's also greed with expecting something in return all the time. By behaviors, by actions, anything like that. So, in turn, the meditation allowed him to give gifts selflessly. and he didn't expect anything in return for the pizza, not even acknowledgement of how much effort it actually took him. All this added up to the idea of generosity. And to top it off, this guy didn't even like pizza. So, he did this and like other things in his life, not for himself, but for the betterment of other people's lives. He didn't make decisions out of lust or desires. He did it on the sole basis of helping others. He also explained to me all that meditating that I found boring and mind-numbing is supposed to clear your mind of all things. He explained that the world's chaos gets brought into everyone's minds and that you cannot have mental freedom if there are these things clogging your head. Meditating may seem boring, but that is because it is clearing your mind of all chaotic thoughts and bringing peace to your mind. He told me to think about it that way the next time I meditated and see what my opinions were about it after. I got up, said thank you, and went to bed. So the next morning, during our final meditation, while I was sitting in my chair in the corner, I realized in that moment that prior to the trip, I had not even for an instinct to simply stop and take a moment to think about where my life was at and if I was actually satisfied with how it was going. I constantly had this go, go, go mindset and sort of dealt with problems in a type of winging and type of fashion. I hadn't actually stopped and thought about what the next best step would be and just wanted to take a step. And that's a huge impact on your mind when you come to the realization that you had never ever just taken the time to stop and think. After coming to a realization like that, your entire outlook on life really changes. You don't look at anything the same, and every time you're faced with a situation, you sort of look back to your moment of realization, you try to relive how you felt and translate it to your current situation. Nothing to me anymore is just automatically a winged type of situation. I take a moment to breathe, then I decide what the next best thing to do is. So, during my whole temple stay, I kept on trying to tie this temple stay trip to religion and some sort of religious awakening. Like I expected to come out a Buddhist monk. I don't know why I did that, but that was my mindset going in, and I was approaching it all wrong. Although it was like a temple stay of sorts with Buddhist monks in Korea, that wasn't the angle that I would benefit the most from. For I had little to no religious background and no desire to become religious, I had the mindset of proving all religious revelations and anything of that sort false on this trip because I was a little stubborn brat. And as a result, I obviously was not going to experience anything religious. However, my conversation with the monk changed my entire angle that I approached the whole trip from. It's kind of sad that it was the very last day. I could have probably got more out of it, but better late than never. So it was no longer a religious revelation, but a mental one of sorts. And when I finished the temple stay, I didn't come back as like the reincarnation of Buddha or as the embodiment of all Buddhist beliefs. I was still some random kid that had blonde hair for some reason and was extremely obnoxious. But from henceforward, my mind actually had some sort of order and peace to it. I actually thought about things instead of going with it just to do something I had to. I began to analyze things throughout my life with the knowledge that life was chaotic and that although I couldn't change all the chaos that was going on in the world, I could embrace it.